ॐ श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Anjali, Ujjala, if you can unmute yourself. Let's chant from verse number 13, fourth chapter. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam
Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam
gunakarma vibhagashaha
Varnakarma vivahasha
tasya kartaramapi mam
Tasya kartama apimam
vidhya kartaramavyayam
Vidya kartaram avyayam
namam karmani limpanti
Mama karme yalimpanti. I don't think
name karma phale spruha.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it in my book here.
It's okay, you're doing fine.
Okay. Nami karma
Phale spruha iti mam yobhi janati
Iti mam yobi jananti
karma bhirnasa badhyate evam
nyatva
kritam karma
urvarapi
mumukshubhihi
Mumukshubhihi
Guru Karmaiva
Kuru Karmeva
Tas
Maiva
Tasmatvam
Tasmatvam
Purvaihi
Purvaihi
Purvataram Kritam
Purvataram Kritam
Kim Karma
Kim Karma
Kimakarmeti
Kimakarmeti
Kavayopyatra
Tavayopatra
Mohitaha
Mohitaha
Tatte Karma
Tate Karma
Pravakshyami
Pravakshami
Yajñatva
Yajanatva
Mokshyase Shubhat
Mukshase Subhat
Karmano Hyapi
Karmano Hyapi
Bodhavyam
Bodhavyam
Bodhavyancha
Bodhavyam cha
Vikarmanaha
Vikarmanaha
Akarmanascha
Akarmanascha
Bodhavyam
Bodhavyam
Gahana
Gahana
Karmano Gatihi
Karmano Gatihi
Karmanya Karma
Karmanya Karma
Yah Pashyet
Yapasyet
Akarmani cha
Akarmani cha
Karmayaha
Karmayaha
Sabuddhiman
Sabudhiman
Manushyeshu
Manusyeshu
Sayuktaha
Sayuktaha
Kritsna Karma Krit
Krishna Karma Krishna Karnakar Makri? No.
Yeah, correct, that's correct. Kritsna Karma Krit.
Krit. Krishna Karma Krit.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much for making it easy for me. You are very
Yeah,
kind.
you're doing well, Anjali. So Sri Krishna is introducing once again the topic of karma, action. Not karma yoga per se. Karma yoga we saw before in the third chapter, but action itself, analyzing action. And he said, Gahana Karmano Gatihi. I'm going to teach you, Arjuna, because this topic of karma is important to understand, and it's people make a mistake about that. Therefore, I will teach you. He said, Gahana Karmano Gatihi. That word Gahana, Swami Paramarthanandaji said something. He used the word subtle, Gahana. We said difficult to understand, yes, and because it is subtle. And he says one more thing. He said, it is difficult to understand, it is impossible to understand without Guru and Shastra. This is the word he uses. Guru Shastra Upadeshat Eva Nyayate, like that he says. So I wanted to mention that. And then, of course, we are now doing number 18, Karmanya Karmaya Pashet. And 18 to 24, these are the key verses in this chapter. And because of which Bhagavad Gita gets the name Upanishad. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu we say. Why should we say Upanishads? Well, there are certain shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita which make it which are the essence of the Upanishads, and therefore Bhagavad Gita gets the name Upanishad also. So verse number 18 to verse number 24 is one such group of verses. is what Pujya Swamiji say, and Swami Paramarthananda says that. And here he says, the one who sees action in inaction and the one who sees inaction in action. That is what he said. He's a wise person. Well, suppose I say, this is a book. This is a book. I think all of you will agree with that. This is a clock. This is a clock. I think all of you will agree with that. But suppose come back, somebody says, oh, this is not a book. And then this is not a clock. And okay, this is a typewriter. Somebody says things like that. Then then we will say, okay, it's a typewriter. Very nice of you to say it's a typewriter. What makes you think it's a typewriter? We have this kind of conversation because we don't know what's going on. We don't know how to handle the situation. What makes you think it's a typewriter? Oh, because something. Okay. So he's going to say something. So then we have this kind of conversation. Now we are wondering what we should do with this person. So you look at action and then Krishna says it is inaction. And then you look at inaction and then Krishna says it's action. And so this is how it is. Like this deranged person who says something or the other does not make sense to us. So, and this is the kind of topic we are in right now. And of course, Shankara will help us with all that. And so it's contradictory things are said. So sometimes, Swami Paramarthananda says, suppose, why not just say, Atma is Akarta, and then move on. And actions happen still. Even though Atma is a non-doer, actions happen. Just say it and move on. Why say all these apparently contradictory things? So it's supposed to make us think. We can't gloss over these things. Remember, I said early on in this class is not going to be simply chanting of the Bhagavad Gita. And somebody asked, how many shlokas you are going to cover in one class? And I was thinking how I should answer that question. It depends on you. I should have said also. I didn't say that, but now I'm getting. It depends on you also. If you nod your head quickly and then if everybody understands everything I say, then we will move very fast. If I see blank faces, then we may have to go a little slow. That's all I can say. And so here is a shloka where it is supposed to make us think. And our acharyas tell us a story, and I've said this before. And Veda Vyasa composed the Mahabharata, which has this Bhagavad Gita. And so he needed some help, somebody to dictate. Vyasa has to dictate, and then somebody has to write. Then things flow smoothly. And so Ganesha said, okay, I'll write it for you. You dictate and I'll write it. But Ganesha put a condition. I am not an ordinary fellow. You can't just take me for granted. If you pause even for a second, I will walk away. You have to keep on chanting. I have the ability to write. Okay, I can write fast. You don't worry about me. But you have to keep. You can't say karman karma yaf pashyet. No, that won't work. Karman karma yaf pashyet. Akarmani cha karma yaha. Then I will write. Because I'm Ganesha. That's why. So Vyasa thought about this and he said, okay, then I'll also give you a condition. The condition is you must understand what I say before writing it down. Before writing it down, you must understand what I say. Then only you must write it down. Because Vyasa's concern is Vyasa has said it. Now, what is the guarantee that Ganesha is writing what Vyasa said? Something wrong. He heard something and he writes that, and what he heard is not what Vyasa meant. Swami Paramarthananda gives an example. It seems he was dictating, and in the dictation, this thing came. The sentence: renunciation alone gives moksha. And the person who wrote this, the student, wrote, remuneration alone gives moksha. Okay. Remuneration gives moksha. And he didn't quite ask any question. Something to strike, and nothing struck. So this is the problem with dictation. Swami was saying, you need a person who can write properly and also make sure it's right. And the student should have asked the question, what is this remuneration? What is the connection between remuneration and moksha? So these things are there. Therefore, Vyasa said, you better understand it properly. Simply superficial understanding, no. Properly you must understand. Then you write it. This is the condition. So here, our Swamiji say that when Vyasa wanted to take a break, poor Vyasa has been writing Puranas, he's been writing all these things. He also needs a break periodically. So at that time, Vyasa cooked up these kinds of shlokas, which will make Ganesha think, scratch his head. And by the time Ganesha finishes thinking and writing, another 500 shlokas, 1000 shlokas have been composed by Vyasa. Like that, the story goes. And in the second chapter also, we saw a shloka like this. You may remember, some of you. 269. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam. Yeah, there you go, Sukanya. So, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam. Tasyam Jagarti Sanyami. Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani. Sa Nisha Pashyato Mune. So, where the people see darkness, there the wise person sees light, brightness, wakefulness. And where people are awake, people are awake, the wise person sees darkness. Like that, a very cryptic, confusing shloka was said. And so we see Vyasa periodically doing this to make us think, obviously. And so in the last class, we saw that we saw the idea of action and inaction. We said inaction simply cannot mean that somebody is not doing anything. I am not doing anything today. That does not mean I am not literally not doing anything. Nobody can just not do anything, not perform any action. The breathing is going on. There are so many actions going on, walking, talking, moving the parts of the body. It's all constant. And so, nahi kasit kshanamampi jatu tishtatya karma krit. Therefore, one cannot take that akarma. We're going to use the word akarma periodically, and not translate it as much. Okay. So that akarma we were discussing. So, continuing that discussion. So we said last time, we gave the example of walking, and I am walking, I am going to the store. So many statements are being made, and in that walking, there are so many mini actions are involved. Motion is involved. Legs are moving, hands are moving. The mind is thinking, and the fellow is also on the phone and talking also. So there's so many things going on, and so the whole body, mind, sense complex is involved. Karya Karana Sanghata. That is a technical word in Sanskrit. Karya Karana Sanghata. Karyam here does not mean action. Karyam means effect, product. Okay. And here the product is the body. And then Karana. Karana means instrument. Instrument means all sense organs which are important for the human being to operate. And the mind and the sense organs are called karanas, instruments. And sanghata means assemblage, something that's put together. Like a car or a telephone, it's all put together. So karya karana sanghata, an assemblage of the body and the mind and the senses. That's the meaning of that karya karana sanghata. So many things are involved in this action, and of course the person, the being I, is also involved in the action. Okay, that much we recognize. Now To whom does the results of the action belong? Okay, I do action. I perform action. I do things from morning to evening, from the time I get up to the time I sleep. I perform actions. I keep on doing stuff. Okay. Now, what about the results of action? Results of the things I do. I'm doing things for a purpose only. I'm not, nobody is doing things without any purpose whatsoever. So, to whom does those results belong? Then also, we say for experiencing the results of the action, for getting something for my sake only, I do everything. Karma phala bhogaya idam aham karomi. So I want the results. I want what I think I will get. I want it. So it is for my sake alone. I may say my family's sake, etc. Fine, but finally it is for my sake. That we saw. Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati. Okay. Now, so therefore, not only I am a doer of actions, but I'm also an enjoyer, or I am an experiencer. Better, because enjoyer, if I say, it seems like sukha, happiness alone. No, I am an experiencer of both happiness and sorrow, and so painful experiences and pleasurable experiences, pleasant experiences. So I am a doer, I am a experience. These two things come together, doer and experience. Okay. Now the question is this: this Atma, which we got exposed to by the Bhagavad Gita, first couple of chapters, is that Atma, which is my essence, which is I, is that a doer or not a doer? Is that a karta or not a karta? I assume I'm a karta because I don't know better. I don't know any better. I do things, therefore I'm a doer. This is everybody's conclusion. And so here we are asking that question: is am I a doer or not a doer? Now, going. Suppose I say going. Then immediately you will ask me the question, going. Who is going? You have to ask the question, who is going? Going doesn't make sense at all. Going doesn't make sense. The verb, just a verb, doesn't make sense at all. Why it doesn't make sense? Because you know somebody has to go, and so who is going or what is going? Like that, the question comes. Okay. Therefore, Ramaha gachati. Rama is going. Gachati goes. Rama is going. Rama goes. That Rama is a karta. Karta means the agent of the action of going. That we know very well. Correct? Now, so therefore, that action of going is dependent on this goer, the doer of the action of going. Therefore, or the agent. Going action is dependent on the agent. So gachati depends on Rama. You always need an agent for every action. Okay. So therefore, action is always dependent on the agent. But then the question is this: action is dependent on the agent. Is the agent dependent on action? This question we must ask. That is where Shastra comes. And so that question is being asked and said, no, the agent does not depend on the action. The agent is independent of action. That is the thesis here. And well, that is because that is why you have free will, and that's why you can say, I can do it, or I will not do it, or I will do it later, or I will do it now but differently, different from what you've told me. I will do it my way. So that free will makes that person as an agent, of course, and but then the agent is not dependent on the action. We're going to see more of that. And so the doer is independent, karta is independent, agent is independent of action. Okay. Now So there are many factors related to action. Many factors. And in Sanskrit, these factors are called karakas. Karakas. And one factor we already saw, agent. Agent is one factor that's always related to action. The action of going, gachati is there, and then the agent. Agent goes, Ramaha gachati. That agent in Sanskrit grammar also is called karta. Sanskrit grammar also called karta. Okay. Karta means the subject of the sentence. If you want to translate the word karta in English, it will be called subject. Correct? Rama goes means Rama is the subject. and so the first karaka, prathama karaka, karta, agent. Likewise, you've got many other karakas. Then once somebody says Rama goes, then immediately next question. Next question. Rama goes where? Rama goes where? So Ramaha vanam gacchati. Ramaha vanam gacchati. Rama goes to the forest. Vanam. He goes to the forest. This is a stock example. You know, they say stock example. So I don't know how that word stock comes, but I think maybe it's called textbook example or something like that. We can give any number of examples. You know, action. Why we can't give? Why only Rama goes? Why can't we give some other example? Well, you know, our Sanskrit textbooks are so amazing. When the first word they print, it must be Bhagavan's name. That is how they compose these books. So Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha. This is how the book starts. You may wonder why Rama. Rama, let this be a blessing for the teacher and for all the students who are picking up this book. Therefore, Ramaha, Ramo, Rama. And why Rama? One Rama, there's only one Rama. How can there be many Ramas? No, we don't ask that question at all when we study Sanskrit. This is wrong. There are no Ramaha. There is only one and only Rama. Kodanda Rama, Dasarathi Rama, that Rama. No, Ramaha, Ramo, Rama. Like that. So here also, when we give an example, Ramaha Gacchati. So, okay, Ramaha Vanam Gacchati. Vanam. Vanam is the object. Where is the person going to? What object is the person picking up, etc. So that object is called Dvitiya Karaka, second Karaka. And in Sanskrit, a technical word called karma, not to be confused with the karma we are talking about, but second object is called karma. Then what? How does Rama go to the forest? How? Did he go by a chariot? Did he go by a walk? Did he run? Or did he catch a flight? You know, these questions can be there. And so, no, we say, Padbhyam vanam gacchati. Padbhyam means he went by foot. By foot, he went. So that is the third karaka. Third karaka. And it's called karanam in Sanskrit. Karanam. Instrument. In other words, instrument. Instrumental case. It's called instrumental case. People who translate it like that. Instrumental case. Okay. Then what? Then what for did Rama go to the forest by foot? What for? Was there a purpose that he wanted to achieve by going to the forest? Yes, he did. Pitru Vakya Paripalanaya. There was only one purpose for Rama. Father said it, therefore I must go. That's it. Even though father later on wanted to retract, and Rama said no. Word spoken once has to be followed. And so, and it's a promise given also. And Kaikeyi wanted this also. Therefore, it's very clear. And so, therefore, Pitru Vakya Paripalana. For the sake of keeping father's words, he went to the forest. Okay. So that is called Sampradhanam in Sanskrit. Sampradhanam. What is the purpose? Purpose of. Or what, to whom what is going to get satisfied by this action. Okay, that is called the fourth case. Then we have other things like that. So from where? From where did Rama go to the forest by foot to keep his father's words? From where? Well, of course, he was in the Ayodhya, in the city called Ayodhya. And so Ayodhya Nagarat, Ramaha Vanam Pitrupa Vakya Paripalanaya Padbhyam Gachati. Okay. So that is one case. That is also something related to action. That from which ablative case. In English, it's called ablative. You don't have to. These are technical words. And Panchami, Panchama Karakaha, which takes on Panchami Vibhakti. So that's Sanskrit students. Okay. Then then there is another thing also, another case. Where did Rama go to? Where did Rama live after he went to the forest? Ramaha Ashrame. He lived in many ashrams, and he lived in Bharadwaja ashram for some time. He lived in this forest, Dandakaranya, etc. We say Dandakaranye Avasat Ramaha. Dandakaranya Avasat. There is a particular forest in the southern part of Tamil Nadu called Dandakaranya those days, and so Dandakaranye. Where? Tell me the location. Where was Rama on so and so day? After 10 days, where was he? Was there any? Did he have a cell phone so we could track him? No, we don't have. He didn't have a cell phone, but we know exactly day by day exactly where he went. You know. So where? The question where is answered by this Saptami Karaka. Correct. Saptami. Okay. Now that is called Adhikarana. So these are all factors related to action. So that's general. Now we come back to the first Karaka. What is the first Karaka? First Karaka is Karta, agent. Agent. I did an action, or I did not do. No, I did not do. Who broke the glass? I did not break the glass. Whether I say I did or I say I did not do, in both cases, Adi Shankara says the agent is involved, the karta is involved, the doership is very much there. In this one, I did not do. Also, the owner doership. Shankara says that, and so the doer is there very much in all actions I do, and also so-called akarma in action also. When I say the question we were asking is whether I say I do something, I did so much, and I give a list of things I did, or if I say I did not do this, I did not do that. No, that was not me. That was not me. Still, Shankara says doership is very much involved. The sense of I-ness is very much involved in all these actions and inactions. Okay. Now, so here the question is, so why doesn't just Krishna say Atma is akarta and move on? Why does he have to say karmani akarma yah pashed and akarmani karma chayah? Why he has to say this? That is because Shankara begins to explain here, and Krishna could have said actions don't belong to Atma, actions belong to the Karya Karana Sanghata, this body, mind, sense complex. Could have said that. No. And the reason is the Shastra wants us to think about our own experience, which Shankara gives an example now. Okay. So he is giving the example of, in fact, let me read that. He's giving that example that all of us can relate to. Okay. Okay. So there is now Shankara is creating a mock debate. So the Purva Pakshi is asking a question. Nanu karma eva. The opponent, the Purva Pakshi, the guy who is debating is asking, Nanu, but wait a minute. Karma eva. Action is action. Everybody understands action. There's no problem with that. Sarvesham na kvachit vyabhicharati. Everybody understands action. And inaction also everybody understands. So why do you have to make the statement that karmani, akarma, etc.? Then Shankara says, tad na. No, that is not as simple as you think it is. Okay. Nausthasya navi gachantyam tatastheshu agatishu nageshu pratikula gati darshanat. Let me explain that. I'm reading it. So we all connect with Shankara. And you may not follow every word, that's fine. He says, imagine a situation where you're going in a ship or a boat. Ship is better because ship is better. You'll see why. And then you look at the bank. You're very close to the bank. And then the trees are all moving. Correct? Trees are all moving. And if somebody asks you, are you moving? No, I'm not moving at all. I don't feel that the ship is moving. And so what do you see? You see moving trees. You see motion where there is no motion. And you see stationarity. You see stationariness, if I can use that word. You see no motion where there is motion. Correct? So this is common human experience. He says that. Okay. And then he gives another example. Look at this. Dureshu, far away. Dureshu chakshusha asannikristeshu gachatsu. There is a boat, there is a ship that is left from the bank. It has taken off from the banks, and then it's moving away from you. It's gone far enough. Now I think the ship has stopped moving. It's not moving because I don't see any motion at all. Neither this way nor that way. Neither do I see it moving forward or backward. So he says, Asanni Krishteshu Gachatsu. A ship that is far away. He uses the word Asanni Krishta. Means far away. It can't be too close, right? So far away. And Gati Abhava Darshana. Abhava, absence. Gati, speed. Darshana, the perception of no motion, no speed on that ship. He gives these two examples. Okay. And so there what happened? So these are examples where one sees action, motion, where there is no motion. One sees stationariness. I have to find a word for that. Stationariness. I don't know. Unless somebody reminds me what word I can use, I'm going to use that word. Static. Static. No motion. Okay. Stillness. Okay. Stillness. All right. Yeah. Stillness. Stillness has some other connotations. Okay. Stationarity. Okay, stationarity. I think if there is a word like that, I'd like to use. Thanks, him. I'll use that word because stillness means the mind is still. We go off in that direction. So I don't want to use the word stillness. Stationarity is better, I think. Static. We have another problem. We have a static problem with computers and cell phone. That problem will come. So I don't want to use that word. Okay. Stationarity, I'll use that. So we see stationarity where there is motion, and we see motion where there is stationarity. This is our common experience. And that Krishna wants to bring here in the context of Atma also. Okay. And now, Puja Swamiji gives another example. He says, another example which Shankara would not have given, could not have given. What is that example? You're watching a movie. You're watching a movie. And it's all high drama is going on. And like the movie, we see movies, so many people like drama. And so here, this movie, Anand is an old Hindi movie. And Rajesh Khanna and Amitabh Bachchan, these are the main people. And those days, Amitabh Bachchan was a baby, bacha. He was not a Bachchan yet, he was only a bacha. And Rajesh Khanna was a hero those days. And Amitabh Bachchan was a secondary to Rajesh Khanna. And so he got a chance in this movie, Anand. And so it's a good movie. And this Rajesh Khanna has cancer. And Amitabh Bachchan is just very anxious. And he's a doctor. And he feels vulnerable, helpless. How can I not help Rajesh Khanna? And this drama is going on. And this last scene comes. And Rajesh Khanna is lying on the bed. Anand is lying on the bed. And the room is there. The room is visible. And Amitabh Bachchan has gone to, he's just running hither and thither, trying to find last minute something I have to do. What happened? Where is this other doctor? Let's call him. And then he goes running to another physician. And the scene is there. And you can hear your heart is beating, tuck, tuck, tuck. And you see the room and you see the room, and Rajesh Khanna is on the bed. And suddenly, kata, 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 you hear some sound. And you're watching a movie. And this is the movie of those days. Some of you may not relate to this. And suddenly you see a blank screen, bright screen. Bright screen. Okay? How many of you can relate to that? Okay. Ramesh ji, Swapna, Sundari ji, Surendra, many people can relate to that. You see a bright screen. What happened? Well, so I was sitting right next to this projector man, this projector. The projector, of course, somebody has to operate. And those days, open air theater. And so I happened to sit right next to him that time. And you're just watching this. Suddenly, this thing happens. Either the reel got over, or the reel got cut. This reel will, split. And so he has to come back. He has to attach the two, and then he has to put it back. And then it's some 5 minutes, 10 minutes it will take. So, what happened? The scene is, there is a room and the person is sleeping. Nothing is moving. You want Rajesh Khanna to move. Come on, get up, my dear friend. Don't die. This is what the heart is saying. And no motion at all. Nothing is happening. Whereas here, look at the projector, that whole scene, so many cycles. I don't know how many frames per second, 24 frames per second or something. And so 24 frames are moving in order for me to see a stationary room. The bed is stationary. Rajesh Khanna is stationary. All the things in the room are all stationary. Nothing is moving. Rajesh Khanna definitely not moving. So unmoving thing, but it takes so much motion to create that perception of stationarity. Okay. So Pujya Swamiji gives this example. And of course, he did not use the word Anand and all that. So that is my own addition, my masala to that. Okay. So, which is true. So this is a common example. And so our experience of seeing inaction in action, seeing motionlessness in motion, this experience we have. And of course, thanks to science, thanks to knowledge of astronomy, astrology, the planetary motion and all that, we know that these planets are all moving. The earth is rotating. Suppose you go to tell somebody, go walk, casually walk and tell them, do you know you are rotating at 1,000 miles per second, or 1,000 miles per hour, excuse me. Do you know you're moving at 1,000 miles per hour? Don't say rotating. Do you know you're moving at 1,000 miles per hour? The sun is, the earth is rotating on its axis. And that's 1,000 miles per hour. 1,000 miles per hour, even aircraft doesn't move that fast. And they may go at 600 miles, 700 miles, typical aircraft. And this is 1,000 miles per hour. We're all rotating at 1,000 miles per hour. But no, nobody will accept that statement. It's hard to believe that I'm moving that fast. And the earth is also revolving around the sun. And that speed is no less. I think that's close to some 60 to 70,000 miles per hour. 67,000 miles per hour. It's mind boggling when you think about it. How come my hair is not, going this way? It's that's how fast it's going. And my whole body should just fly off. No. Motion. Karmani akarma darshan. And they say the Milky Way, the galaxy also is moving at a speed. And that speed is also mind-boggling. 500,000 miles per hour, they say. And so it looks like the bigger we go, it seems to be moving faster and faster. We think big objects move slowly. And no, it's not like that. Everything is confusing. When you start looking at this world, it's just the time scales are all very different. Space scales are all very different. So, and look at this. Nataraja, in some pictures of Nataraja, they show Nataraja dancing, correct? Shiva is dancing. And how is his hair? His hair is horizontal. Hair is horizontal. Can you imagine our people, what all they wanted to tell us? Horizontal means action everywhere. Motion everywhere. There is no such thing as inaction. You think everything is stationary, it's boring. Kuch nahi, nothing is happening, yaar. Pandemic, nothing is happening, yaar. No, a lot of things are happening, okay? And so much is going on in this world. And so we see motion where there is no motion. We see no motion where there is motion. Okay. Now, so this is the vision that we need to bring here. And so sometimes the action I see really is inaction. There is really no motion at all, no action at all. And sometimes it's the other way around. And so here what we have to say is that Atma is akarta, not a doer. Therefore, karmani akarmayah pashyet. That is what Krishna wants to tell us. That person who sees the Atma as not a doer, despite all the actions that are being performed. Okay, that is the meaning of this karmani akarma darshanam. And so later on he will say, Krishna will say, Pashyan, Shanvan, Sprishan, etc. So, Pashyan nakaroti. Looking at things, the person doesn't look, doesn't do. And Shrinvan, listening to things, the person does not listen, really speaking. Because Atma is not a listener. Atma is not a seer. Atma is not a thinker. That's the vision we need to get here. And so therefore keeping quiet has nothing to do with akarma. And whether you're keeping quiet or you're busy, it doesn't matter. The doership is always there. And so that is, and because people think that they do, people think they are agents, they are kartas, they also think they don't do. I think I do, therefore I can say I don't do also. That same doership is very much there. The same idea of doership is there. And so, whether there is pravritti, pravritti means action, performance of action. Nivritti, nivritti means absence. No, I'm not doing anything. In both pravritti and nivritti, kartrutvam is very much there. Okay, that I think we are beginning to understand. And so, so Atma is taken to be a karta, and action is attributed to the Atma by mistake. Action is attributed to Atma by mistake. Okay. At the same time, this action is not independent of Atma. Action cannot be independent of Atman. Nothing is independent of Atman. And therefore, action also is not independent of Atma. So, Atma is very much there. And because of its presence, everything happens. The entire body exists. Existence itself is Atma. And so, both need to be kept in mind. And so, that is the vision here. Now, we need to look at that nature of Atma a little bit, and a slightly different track we will have to take. And I'm looking at the clock here, it's pretty close to 7:30, so we can continue that discussion again tomorrow in our next class. So what did we discuss today? This way Krishna presented it, karmani akarma darshanam and akarmani karma darshanam. Okay, that is the shloka that we are dealing with right now. And so it's important, and it's meant for us to think about. And how can it be? The mind, we should be able to ask the question, how is that possible? And so that our acharyas say, Krishna prompts us to think when he says something like that. And Shankara elaborates by giving these beautiful examples. It strikes us, yes, I can now appreciate what is the meaning of this, and where we are going, where Krishna is heading, we can appreciate that. Okay, so with that, we will conclude for today. Om swastik prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam lokas samastas sukhino bhavantu काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांतिः हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम